Today we're going to be reviewing 91's Panther MTB. This here is the 27.5 inch wheel version. Now the Panther slots in at the entry level of 91's Big Cat series of MTBs. It's a steel framed 21 speed bike that weighs 17.5 kilos and costs about 21,600 rupees. So let's start with the frame. This is an 18.5 inch frame. It's available in only one size. That should do for riders between 5'5" and say 5'11" in height. Now I'm 5'9" myself, and out of the box the default bike fit worked pretty well for me. So far I've gone on rides that are a couple of hours long and the riding posture has been quite comfortable. The frame is really the most striking feature of the bike and looks great with precisely printed and attractive water decals. It comes with a lifetime warranty. The fork is a 60mm Zoom suspension fork which was surprisingly supple. I found it compressing easily and could really feel it work as I rolled over rocky terrain. There's no way to lock the suspension though. Now ideally, you'd want a fork with almost twice the travel on a hardtail, but for easy trails like this, I think it worked perfectly. And that brings us to the tires. These are high volume DSI Nylon tires that are 2.2 inches wide, seated on double walled alloy rims. They soaked up most bumps in the road and thanks to the tall knobs you see here, provided great traction on the trail. I was able to ride through quite a bit of muck without it jamming up my wheels and falling off the bike. They definitely made me feel a lot more confident on the trails. The front wheel has a quick release that allows you to easily remove it, making transporting the bike and replacing the tube a lot easier. The rear wheel does not have a quick release though, it's bolted on. Another thing to note is that the rear derailleur is bolted directly onto the frame. There's no hanger. If you crash, the hanger normally takes the damage and can be easily replaced. Here you may damage the derailleur or the frame. Both the front and rear derailleur are Shimano Tourney, which is really good to see, as with the stock shortages, many bike brands are moving on to lower quality components. Coupled with the Shimano Easy Fire shifters up top, I had no trouble shifting into whatever gear combination I desired. Shifting was pretty smooth and almost immediate. This is a generic chain with no master link, so it's not easy to get off the bike, but that's easy to fix. This is a NECO seal cartridge bottom bracket. We also have a generic crank that has 42, 34 and 24 teeth, and there's a 7-speed Shimano freewheel at the back, going from a 14-tooth cog to a 28-tooth cog. So that would make your lowest ratio 0.85, which is good enough for most climbs you'd probably come across. Your highest ratio though will be 3, which is not that high, but is standard for most entry-level MTBs. To give you an idea of what that means, say you're riding on a flat stretch or going slightly downhill and you'd like to go fast, maybe 35 kilometers an hour. On this bike, you'd have to pedal at a cadence of 90, which may not be easy for many new riders. As a comparison point, with the gearing that a hybrid has, you'd be able to get that speed at a cadence of perhaps 70. And if you were doing 90 on the highest gear of a road bike, you'd be riding at over 50 kilometers per hour. Now, higher gearing does not mean free speed. Pedaling at 90 on the highest gear of a road bike is significantly harder than pedaling at 90 on the highest gear of this MTB. The pedals are plastic but not the cheap kind, with a large enough surface to keep my feet comfortably well planted while riding. And these little spikes provided additional grip. The handlebar is steel and about 660 mm wide, just right for my frame, and proved to be very comfortable for me. I liked the additional control and stability it provided while on the trails. I quite like how the grips look. They were comfortable as well, but they are not lock-on grips, so they may slowly slide off as you ride. Something to be mindful of. Now I have been riding this bike without the padded shorts that I normally use so that I could better experience the saddle. I like the fact that it's pretty firm, but just looking at it, I wasn't expecting it to be very comfortable. I'm happy to have been proven wrong here. The saddle has been very comfortable. Of course, my rides have only been about 2 hours long so far. This is a straight head tube and we have a NECO threadless headset here. The brakes are Jack 7 mechanical disc brakes with a 160 mm rotor. Stopping distance is decent, but as these are not hydraulic 2-finger brakes, you do need to squeeze hard for maximum stopping power. So let's summarize. This has been a really comfortable bike to ride, with the tires and the suspension working together to soak up the bumps in our terrible roads. In most cases, you'll just roll over them without feeling too much. The tires also have solid grip, so you're less likely to lose traction or slip on trails or roads, even if they are in bad condition. Gear changes are smooth, with a gearing range that is similar to most MTBs. The wide handlebar makes this bike easy to control. Now, something to call out though is that at 17.5 kilos, this is not a light bike, So if you're going to be doing a lot of climbing or a lot of long distance riding, the bike will be a little slower and you will expend more energy. Now the Panther comes into its own on the trails where it was super fun to ride and it felt nimble and easy to handle even at relatively higher speeds. The tyres are really grippy and provided good traction on all sorts of terrain, going up and going down. Overall, the bike really inspires confidence, and I was able to attempt some technical sections on this bike that I was too scared to on my cross bike, even though that bike has a dropper post. I'm looking forward to hitting all my local trails on this bike because it's going to be a lot more fun, and I'm sure I'm going to be a little bit faster as well. Now at 21,600 rupees, the Panther provides good value, great components and striking looks. You can buy it directly off their website using the several no-cost EMI options that they have. But should you buy this bike? It rides really well in the city and in traffic, but if you're interested in picking up a bike for fitness or for rides only on tarmac, especially long rides, I would recommend a hybrid instead, not an MTB. Now, having said that, I realize many first-time riders aren't confident riding bikes with the narrow tires that hybrids normally have, and they prefer the stability of an MTB and the comfort and confidence that it provides in our terrible city traffic. In that case, this would be a fine bike to buy. If you intend to ride gravel, village roads, or heck, maybe you don't ride trails yet, but you've seen all the cool kids riding their MTBs and having the time of their lives, if you think that's something you'd like to do, buy this bike. If you prefer 29-inch wheels, check out the Panther 29. The rest of the specs are exactly the same. If you have a little more money to spend, look at the Camet, an alloy-framed MTB, also from Outdoors 91. It also has an alloy handlebar and it drops the weight considerably. Be sure to check out 91's YouTube channel and their Manali to Leh bikepacking series using exactly this bike, a Panther 27.5T. Next, I'm going to be riding this bike in Goa, so watch out for a few holiday videos featuring the Panther. If you have any specific questions about this, drop a comment below and I'll do my best to answer. Until next time, ride safe.